Judging by the number of people we meet here, I think the Palo Maria Waterfall Hike is probably one of the most popular do-it-yourself hikes in all of Puerto Vallarta. The waterfalls along this river, the Palo Maria, are very beautiful, and the main reason why people want to come here. But other reasons include that it is very easy to get to them. It's only a 2-kilometer hike off the highway. And the cost to do this excursion is only 10 pesos each way. You just need to catch the bus at the corner of Constitution and Vicio Badillo for 10 pesos. That'll take you to the exit on the Palo Maria, which is just before the Garza Blanca Resort. From there, you hike your 2 kilometers to the falls, and then when you hike back, if you want, you can just pay your 10 pesos again and head back into town. The other good point is that the bus ride only takes about 20 minutes. The Palo Maria exit is about halfway to Boca Tomatlan and before Miss Maloya, so it's not very far outside the city of Puerto Vallarta. Also, using the bus is very easy, and they come very frequently. Generally, they leave anywhere from 15 to 20 minutes, so getting one there and then coming back at the bus stops is not a long wait. So on a hot day or a day off from work and you just want to relax by doing a small hike and swimming near a waterfalls, or at the waterfalls I should say, consider going to the Palo Maria. I don't think you'll regret it. And if you're feeling really ambitious and you're in good shape, try going to the second or third falls or beyond. One of the things that we really like to do is go to the first falls, spend a few hours doing the hike, and then head on back to the highway, and then grab the bus and continue on to Miss Maloya, grab lunch at one of the beach clubs, and then head home from there after a swim. But as I said earlier, if a little more adventurous and you're in good shape, you can try going up to the second, third, or more falls beyond that. But for those, you really need to be used to hiking and climbing. I would say they're a little harder, definitely past an intermediate level. If you're unsure where to get off, just ask your bus driver to drop you off at the Palo Maria, and they'll make sure they stop there. The bus normally stops on the north side of the river, but it does occasionally stop on the south side. So once the bus stops, head to the north side of the river and you'll find a path, and just follow that along the fence line and river. The path along the fence line is clearly marked, and the fence line will probably take you about halfway to the falls. So I would say the falls hike itself, depending on the season, because it's only 2 kilometers long, should take you about an hour to complete. Now, you can do it faster. It's only 2 kilometers or just a little over a mile. However, you are going to be crossing the river several times. Some of the rocks can be a little bit slippery, so you do want to take your time so you don't slip and fall. So we are taking this hike on March 24th, and so it's well into the dry season, so there is not a lot of water going down the river. But I've taken this in November at the start of the high season, and the water levels are not that high, especially when you're doing the river crossings. I'd say they probably go up no more than your knee, so unless you're at a pool, of course, but knee high is normally about the extent of it. But at this time in March, this lower end of the river almost looks completely dry. So the advantage of taking it at this time of the year is there's many more paths, and it's easier to walk up to the waterfalls. And at the waterfalls, there's lots of water going over the 3 different falls that we're going to today. One of the things I really enjoy about this hike, you immediately get yourself immersed in what it seems like the jungle, and you're walking beside the river. So the noise of the highway quickly fades, and you feel like you're right out and in touch with nature. And the path, especially this first section, the fence line is on the left-hand side. It's clearly marked and very easy to navigate and walk through. There's not a lot of water going down the river right now, which is going to make it easier to get back and forth across it.
Nice.
So how long are you down for?
2 weeks.
Nice.
Yeah. How long have you been here?
5 months now.
Nice.
It's rough being retired.
Yeah, no kidding. You worked for it, clearly.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Usually Like when we did it, it was really, really lush, wasn't it, David?
Yeah, it's getting a little drier, but I'll say this is probably the greenest it's been, I think, in the 6 years that I've been here. Just that we've had more rain this year, so I think it's a little lusher. But look how high these palm fronds are.
Yeah.
Is this your first time here in Puerto Vallarta?
No, second for me.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I've been here before too, but
First time on this hike.
yeah. The last time it was COVID when they were here.
Now we were COVID Christmas. Well, the airport wasn't as hectic.
Well, this is the Semana Santa week, so it's going to be very busy. It's actually great seeing everybody out on the beach and having a good time with their families.
Yeah, it is nice.
Wild attack dogs. Hello, puppies.
On this particular hike, we've run into quite a few different types of birds. Chacalacas, for one, who can be extremely loud. You just heard those dogs barking, and I'll tell you the chacalacas can be a lot louder than that. We've also seen lots of green parrots. And some of the bigger colorful birds, the macaws, sometimes you see them in town, but you definitely hear them and see them flying over here from time to time.
So this is the Garza Blanca Resort on over here.
Up there?
Yeah. So earlier on in the fall, there's quite a bit of water going through, but it never really gets much higher than, let's say, knee high or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
So it's always easy to get up here.
Nice.
David, Claudia wants to know where I fell, so
Yeah.
I can't quite remember, but I bet you do.
Well, we found it. We put your name on the rock.
Need a sign.
We put a cross.
From the banter, you can tell we had a person on my last walkthrough, and they unfortunately slipped on a rock and broke their wrist. Now, they broke it on one of the easiest part of the trails, but it was on walking. We weren't really on a trail. You're basically walking up the river, and she unfortunately was talking and placed her foot on a rock, and that rock had some sand, and it basically caused her to slip and fall. So, again, I remind you, bring some shoes for this hike, which have some good traction, and that'll make it a lot safer for you. If you have water shoes, the ones which are a water sandal, then that's also a good option. I wouldn't bring any real soft water type shoes. You really want something with good traction. Even consider a hiking boot, but something that you don't mind getting wet, because you will be crossing the stream at least twice, maybe up to 4 times before you make it to the falls.
So that's the end of the fence line. Now we just follow the path.
So at this point, we've left the fence line, and you'll see actually multiple paths. Nothing is really clearly marked, but you really can't go wrong because you're always walking beside the river. So the best thing I look for is just, I guess, remnants of a path. You'll see sand on rocks, and that's a really good indication of where people have walked. But just follow what you think is the easiest way. And as I said, this river is right there. Right now you can see it's quite dry here, but when it's flowing, it makes it even that much more obvious. And look for places where you can see where people have crossed. You'll see sandy sections in paths either on the north or the south side, and you will make it to the destination, which is the first falls at the Palo Maria. So at this point, we're crossing the river, or this dry portion of the river. We've spotted a path on the south side of the river, and there's actually a fairly nice path there, and it also walks along a fence line right next to the Garza Blanca Resort. So we're going to take that for our next section of our hike to the waterfalls.
Find the fence line.
This is fun. I like this.
Well, your mom wants me to take you on the Nogalico hike next.
Where's that one?
It's like a river hike, about twice the length of this one, but it's a lot more private.
It's really cool. Let's go.
There should be some motion detection camera up here. There it is, but it didn't sound today.
Oh yeah.
At least there's one.
This is what's this one? Right?
I think this is all still part of Garza Blanca. I believe.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to climb this one.
There it goes. See, we're the ninja types. We didn't set it off.
Oh wow.
We got to go this way, even though that will probably be easier.
I hear it.
We have to go. We got to walk through some water. That's part of the adventure.
Nice.
We're ready. No.
Wow. Cool.
See all the fish in the water too.
Yeah.
There's lots of minnows here.
Water feels nice.
We'll gather everybody up.
So at this point, we're about halfway to the falls. We've done 2 river crossings, one over a dry section and now this little wet section. And as I said, keep just looking for paths and you'll see the easiest way to go. During the dry season like we are now, it's really quite simple. If you really wanted to, you could walk up right down the middle of the river. I like taking the paths as much as possible. They're a little bit easier, a little bit flatter and less rocks to walk over. And I would say this hike, in my mind, is easy, but for others it may be determined to be intermediate. And the reason I say that is you are walking over rocks, so there are a lot of trip hazards. But if you wear the proper shoes and you go slow or move slowly, you should be okay. There shouldn't be really issues. There's lots of people on this path as well, a lot of young families. Actually, I think that there's more young people than senior people here, but you see people of all different ages taking the trail.
You don't need to go through the water. You could go around. I just like going through the water.
Me too.
Follow the leaders.
We're coming up to Martin's Rock. That is see the best. Yeah, I think the best way to do is go this way. Hola. Miles and miles to go. Yeah.
As we proceed upstream, we're seeing more and more water, so just downstream you see less because it's running under the rocks or under the riverbed. But we're quite hopeful when we get to the falls there'll be good flow since we're seeing more and more water as we walk along here.
I think there's definitely a path there, and not much here. So I think we have to go across. We can go up there, I think. We can go up right here.
So you can tell from the video this is not your typical path. Lots of different rocks, lots of trees or twigs to move out of your way, things to step over. Like I said, it's not overly difficult to find your way because there really is only one way, and if you stay close to the river you can't get lost. And as I said earlier, if at this time of the year, it is fairly dry in many locations, so that's one of the reasons it's a little bit confusing for people, is that everybody takes different ways to get to the falls. But if you hang near the river, you'll always get there. And it's only 2 kilometers, or about 1.25 miles, so it's not really that far. I think I've done it in about 30 minutes, and when I'm normally with a group, it takes me about an hour because we just take our time.
Oh, right over here.
One of the things you might have noticed on the walk here, there's always some pipe or water or irrigation pipes. You can see them on the right here, these black pipes. The population or the citizens here actually take water out of the river, and they try to build the pressure by taking the pipe way upstream, so they get a lot of elevation and therefore pressure through the line. I'm not exactly sure where these pipes are going, but you'll see them in most of the river hikes that you do around the Puerto Vallarta area. Decided for this next section of the hike that we'd sort of hike along the river bed, just something a little bit different. There are still trails on either the north or the south side, but sometimes it's nice to get out a little bit and walk on areas that I couldn't walk on before due to the height of the water.
Everybody okay? Yep, we're close now. We're almost halfway. No. Little swampy section here. I think that's the only sort of swampy section you ever see. Yeah.
Doesn't look like it's moving.
No. But you know what? It should have been dried out, so there must be some water flowing into it.
You must be close to that hill.
Yes, I think we are. I'm trying to spy it out. No.
Because we went way up.
I think we might have passed it already, Martine, actually.
I know.
You can actually see them at the falls there now.
Oh yeah, cool.
We're almost there. Normally you can hear it by this time, which means there's not that much water coming over.
Yeah, no jumping on that big rock.
I'm jumping.
Yeah.
So we're almost at the falls now, and one of the things that one of our participants had commented about was jumping off the rocks into the water, and that is definitely a thing you can do. There's a couple of points you do that but the highlight of the falls is actually just swimming there. The water is just nice and cool, not overly cold, so it's a perfect place to stop and enjoy yourself, and the sights are absolutely beautiful. But you'll just see it in a minute, and you'll make up your own mind if it's a place that you want to check out.
We got everybody? Oh, yeah. That's where we're going when everybody's standing. No, we went further back.
So we just got to get around these final rocks and you'll be able to see the falls. The falls is a combination natural and man-made. They actually built some rock or cemented in some rock in place near the top, I think, to hold it up as a reservoir. But having said that, the sand all built behind it, so it really doesn't hold that much water. When we go to the second falls, you can actually stand over top of the first falls and look down on the first falls, so which is interesting, but we'll see that a little bit later in the video.
Yeah, there's not a lot of water flowing now.
So as I said earlier, this is a very popular hike, and one of the reasons is it's so close to Puerto Vallarta. It is a beautiful setting, and the cost to do the excursion is only 10 pesos to get out here. So there was quite a few people at the base of the falls, or I should say at the beginning of the pool, where they were sitting around and just taking their turns swimming in the basin that's formed at the base of the falls.
Yeah, it's actually not a lot of water at all, but it'll be nice to swim in. Hola. Buenos días. Yep. Gracias.
That is so beautiful. The water is crystal clear. It has this green tinge to it. And if you look into it, you can see a ton of fish. So in addition to swimming, a lot of people like to come out here and jump off the rocks into the water. There's a couple of deep spots that make it really easy to do.
He's going now. You got your whole fun. Oh, God.
Now the pool at the base of the falls, number one, is a perfect place to swim. It's actually quite deep, at least 10 feet in a lot of different locations. Unfortunately, my film footage isn't the greatest because the sun was in exactly the wrong position. So it was interfering with some of it, so hopefully you don't mind it. But I just wanted to give you a sense of what it's like here. Now, what's actually also interesting here is that you can crawl underneath the rock or the falls like this couple up here did. I don't think it gets any better than this. Do a short hike along a river, swim in a nice pool, and get to hang out underneath the waterfalls and just enjoy the sights. This couple and everybody here seem to be having a great time. Well, that completes the tour to the first fall, so if you're interested in going to the second and third falls, just keep on going with the video. It's a lot more difficult to get to the second and third falls. I only recommend that to more experienced hikers and people who have some good mobility and are agile. There's a number of different ways to get to the second falls. The most obvious way is that there's a rope on the left-hand side of the falls, so you actually scale the falls. I have never tried that because I think it's a little bit too dangerous for me. I'm in my 60s, so I decided to take a little easier way. So if you head downstream about 200 meters, and if you pay close attention, there's a path on the south side, and you just take that path on the south side and head further east. The first section, you'll see a little bit of a rope up the dirt path. You don't really need the rope, but it'll help you scale up along the cliff's edge, and then it'll walk you right around that first falls.
Are you gonna get a bum shot now?
That'll be on my video, thank you.
That is covering this though.
Okay, so the first part is a climb, but there's a rope. Easy to do. Just go at one at a time, just in case the rope is frayed.
This climb is very easy. You almost don't need the rope. There's lots of steps or vines to pull your way up, but it's a nice, a little bit of advantage and piece of security. But I always advise everybody, let one person go up first and check the rope to make sure it's not frayed or damaged.
You're almost there.
Go, baby girl.
So once up the first steep section where you use the rope, you just follow a path, and the path here is actually very clearly identified. Just continue along. Now, one of the reasons I say this is a medium to really I should say this is a hard hike is you are walking close to the cliff's edge. The footing is not always secure. There generally is places or trees or roots you can hang on to. I think it's safe, but some people, especially if you have a fear of heights, would probably not enjoy this particular part of the hike to get to the second falls. So the distance is probably maybe half a kilometer to the second falls. It should take you about 20 minutes to get there if you move cautiously and efficiently.
Just take your time and you're fine.
Just turn your hand, grab the
You got it.
You got it, you got it.
So lots of ups and downs along this narrow path, and we are going to actually come up to a fairly narrow ledge. Again, lots of handholds there, and in some of the more tighter sections, they've actually put a rope to basically help guide you and as a bit of a security.
You'll actually find that it's easier coming back because you've done it once.
You're good. What? Oh yeah. You're good, sweetheart. I'm coming. Yeah, you got it.
So after traversing the rock ledge, we're just going to go down this little bit of scree, and then there's a rope that we have to use to scale down to the pool of water below the second falls.
Get me off that hill!
I'm scooting
That's what I'm saying, just get low.
Oh wow, this one's great.
So to get down to the falls, you have to scale down this little rock face, but they have a nice rope here and a whole bunch of roots and footholds to use to get down to the bottom. It looks a lot more scarier than it is, but the reward at the base is this beautiful falls and a beautiful pool of water to swim in. So this is falls number 2.
Hola.
The wonderful thing about going to the number 2 and the number 3 falls and those beyond is that not many people come this far. So if you want a bit of time in nature by yourself, this is a great location. The further you go up the river, the more isolated it becomes. But and I say that this falls is one of my favorites on the hike, maybe the favorite, mainly because it's very relatively easy to get to compared to the third falls, and absolutely beautiful and a great place to swim. Also, the other thing you can do is you can walk to the front part of the first falls and look down into the pool and the people gathered there at falls number 1. So we're off the falls number 3 now, so the first thing we have to do is scale the rock face using this knotted rope that'll take you to the top and to the path that will bring us over to the next falls. A little bit of hike, another 20-30 minutes to get there. This is a top view of falls number 2. You can see a few people down there. As I said, not too many people go past falls number 1 because it's a lot more difficult, but there's a few here today. It's the weekend and it's Semana Santa, so a pretty big holiday, so there's a few more people on the trail than normal. Anyways, off to falls number 3. Now, I would say that the hike to falls number 3 is even harder than falls number 2. There's a little more scaling to do, and I found the rocks a lot more slipperier when you went through the water. So something to keep in mind, and do not attempt if you're not an experienced hiker and if you're not agile, and you definitely do need some good footwear when you do this particular part of the hike. This part of the trail is absolutely beautiful, but you will be scaling some larger rocks and walking through the water. And for whatever reason, maybe because I was a little bit cautious, I found it a lot more dangerous. And I'm sure that during the rainy season or during the early November at the beginning of the dry season or the high season here, that there, with so much water going through it, it would be very, very difficult to get to the third falls. Maybe others who have tried this before or have done the hike in the off season or in early November could comment. Obviously, I don't have any experience. This was my first hike to the third falls.
He's waiting for us. I'll go.
Where's the other thing?
They're not coming.
Oh, they came tonight?
Yeah.
Sí, son varias. Hasta luego. Adiós, que vaya bien.
We are fortunate that this young gentleman who was camping out, or I should say hanging out at the top of the second falls, decided he wanted to show us how to get to the third falls. And I'm sure that made it a lot safer and a lot faster for us to get there. Like I said, it took us about 20 minutes to get there, but again, we were taking our time and enjoying the sights. Definitely a lot more water in the river as we approached the third falls, and when I say a lot more water, that also means that you're going to be walking through a lot more water. You're in quite a high valley here, and it's all rock. There's not a lot of vegetation. There's really not a lot of trees, a lot of things that trees can grow on right at the lower sections, and I don't think it would be very easy to climb out of it from here, out of this valley anyways. You always have to go up or downstream, but very passable, especially if you take your time and you have the proper footwear. This is not the third falls. This is just a small runoff, a pool that we had to navigate around. I found this little section probably the most challenging. Instead of going over to the right-hand side like my brother and this young gentleman did, I decided to go through the water and go around on the left-hand side. I found the footing there quite good, and it was relatively easy to go across. My first attempt, though, was to go right through the pool, but right near the base of here was probably about 6 feet, but if you went to the left-hand side, there's actually sand there, and the water was only probably a couple of feet deep, up to maybe my waist, so maybe 3 or 4 actually, and then I could climb around it. So once I crossed the pool, I just had to make my way down and around the little stream that ran into it and around this large rock, and the third falls was right there, and I'm glad we made it because it's absolutely beautiful and a nice spot to take a swim, which is what we did. So welcome to the third falls. As you can see, there was only ourselves here and one other couple. Nice and relaxing. The pool at the base was fairly deep. You had to swim into this pool, and you can see how clear it is. Like that's probably 2-3 feet deep of water. You can clearly see the rocks at the bottom. So I didn't see any paths that would directly take you to the fourth falls, but there was this rope here, and it looks like that is the way you use to climb over the third falls and head towards the fourth. So on this trip, I think we said we've had enough, and we had some appointments back in town, so we didn't attempt that one. We just decided to spend our time swimming at this falls, and the other ones, which used up about 3, I think we were out on this particular hike for about 3.5 hours. And that included getting here and coming back, but not including the bus rides. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please like and subscribe. I put out a lot of videos all about Puerto Vallarta, generally between November and April every year. If you have any questions, just drop me a note on YouTube, and I'll try and get back to you as soon as possible. You can drop me questions about how to do these hikes, or what are the best hikes in the area, some of the restaurants and other things going on around Puerto Vallarta. So we hiked back directly from the third falls right out to the highway, which is the 200. And as you come out of the path, you're on the south side of the north side of the river. Just go about maybe 50 yards down the road, like 50 meters, and you'll see a bus stop there. And as I said earlier, the buses come anywhere from 10 to 20 minutes apart. It's pretty random, but they're very frequent, and it only costs you 10 pesos to make it home. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did,